Hi, I'm Lee Hendricks with Proactive Health Style, your essential oil nurse. We're getting kind of close to Christmas now, and I want to bring into focus two extraordinary oils. Yeah, you know what they are: frankincense and myrrh. And they are both absolutely wonderful, wonderful oils. I have the doTERRA ones here. I have them specifically because of the quality. I might talk about that in a little bit. But mostly, I want to talk about just some of the history of these two oils. Now, we all know that frankincense and myrrh, as well as gold, were brought as gifts by the three Magi to the Christ child. But why? Why frankincense and myrrh? Has that ever crossed your mind? Crossed my mind, and so I had to delve into it. So, turns out both frankincense and myrrh have been mentioned in the Bible multiple times. I think myrrh is at like 151 times or something like that. But when you go back into it, frankincense and myrrh were used for anointing kings, for anointing holy priests. When we talk about anointing, anointing means to join the spiritual, to join God to man. So it's kind of this direct conduit. And interestingly enough, myrrh oil in Ayurvedic practices is used to join the crown and root chakras, to join heaven or our spiritual inspiration with our base, with our chakra, with our physical being. Myrrh reaches deep into the psyche and kind of brings forth that self-awareness that transcends and transforms the materialistic. So it infuses the spiritual within the physical. And the same with frankincense. In the psychological levels, I guess, frankincense is the oil that connects us to the divine masculine, to the father. And myrrh is one that connects us to the divine mother, to the earth mother, or to the feminine, our own mother. So there's this incredible balance of connecting us to our origins. How's that? So huge impact on the brain, on the psychology, and that's because on our emotions, and that's because both myrrh and frankincense are really high in something called sesquiterpenes, and sesquiterpenes are able to penetrate the blood-brain barrier. And because they can do that, they have actions on our brain cells, which are really, really cool. And frankincense, we know, is this master oil that wants to put things right. Now, all these essential oils, frankincense and myrrh, are up in the brain. We also know that they can have effects on things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, where just breathing them in aromatically tends to have a positive effect on those. And in fact, friends of mine who are down in the States, they were using frankincense on their favorite aunt who was an advanced case of Alzheimer's and no longer knew who they were. And she would sit there with that really repetitive, who is that person? Who is that person? That repetitive speech pattern, not remembering they just asked that question 3 minutes ago. And so they started diffusing frankincense and also anointing them with frankincense as well. And you could put it on the temples, back of the neck, on the frontal spot there as well. But nothing at first. But after 6 weeks, they'd stopped that repetitive behavior. And after a 2-year period, along with some supplementation, they're actually carrying out some of the activities of daily living, like getting themselves dressed. Not having this repetitive behaviors. They weren't cured, but they weren't as much of a danger to themselves, and the care level wasn't so extreme. So really positive there. The other thing that frankincense has is something called insensyl acetate, which is a really confusing word. And what it does, it activates different ion channels, which means absolutely nothing to a lot of you. But what that's doing is it's helping to change brain chemistry. Let's just say it's changing brain chemistry. It's modulating, it's regulating neurotransmitters. And when you can regulate those neurotransmitters, you can elevate mood. So frankincense is really fabulous for depression and anxiety as well. Interestingly enough, these are also essential oils that were used for embalming. They're used as funerary herbs and oils. And in fact, Christ was anointed with myrrh and spices after the crucifixion when he was wrapped in the shroud. And they say that myrrh oil is this beautiful oil for help closing that grief and sorrow, bringing you to a place of stillness and inner peace and clarity, where we can sort of transform and move through grief. Myrrh is also, as the oil for inner peace and inner stillness, it's wonderful for those of us that have get an overbusy mind and have that overthinking, the worry that goes on. So myrrh is great for just grounding, clarifying, and again, getting that inner peace. Myrrh is also really great for dry, cracked skin. You know, when your skin gets so dry, like the heels, they get so dry, they start to crack and they're quite painful. So making a little poultice or even a lotion with maybe some fractionated coconut oil or some coconut oil, and just putting a few drops of myrrh into it and then massaging into those areas on a daily basis is going to help with that dryness. It was also used as a poultice for sore muscles. Frankincense was too. For sore muscles, you would just add some oil and maybe add some heat over top to drive the oil right in. The other thing that frankincense and myrrh are both great for is skin stuff. So frankincense is a little fountain of youth. It helps with collagen degradation. Collagen is the stuff that gives all that beautiful elasticity and the youthful look to our skin. So by preserving it, it's going to make you look younger, longer. Great one to add into your face lotion, right? Just add a couple of drops of frankincense into that. Myrrh, well, the Greeks marched into battle with myrrh 4,000 years ago. Why would you march into battle with myrrh? Well, I tell you, this little puppy is a huge, promotes white blood cell production, great antifungal. It's going to help with pain as well. And when you think of it, it's being an antifungal. I mean, athlete's foot, different fungal stuff, and whenever you'd get cuts or wounds, and I'm thinking if you're a soldier marching into battle, you're probably going to get a few wounds and whatnot. And remember, infection was the biggest cause of death. So when you're using something like myrrh, which is going to be an antifungal, it's going to be changing the environment so you're not getting as many bacterial infections. So it could have been really, really effective for wound care as well. And it would stop bleeding. So great one. Great one there. Also really good for the mouth and teeth. Now, I don't know how many dentists were back there in ancient Greece, but oil pulling with myrrh helps with gum disease and dental cavities and whatnot. So just put one drop of myrrh into maybe half a teaspoon of coconut oil, pop it into your mouth and sit there like that for the next 15 minutes. And it's going to help draw out dental caries, bacteria, etc., and give you great smelling breath as well, and helps with fistulas in the mouth. The other area where these two are being studied a lot right now is cancer, especially frankincense. At the University of Oklahoma, they've been doing anti-cancer studies there, and they're finding that frankincense has been effective in multiple lines of human cancers. And when we say multiple lines, when you have cancer, like different cells are becoming cancers, right? It might be breast cells or colon cells or prostate cells, but different cells are going to have different types of cancers. And we're finding these different types of cancers, frankincense can be quite effective against them. And they do that in a few different ways. One, it's preventing cellular growth. So it kind of goes in there, and frankincense is this really intelligent oil that goes into a cell, into the DNA, and says, no, not supposed to be growing here. And it can do something called cellular apoptosis. And apoptosis just means cellular death. So it actually causes the cells to die instead of becoming cancers, because that's what cancer is. It's cells that don't die. So it's cytotoxic, or cellular death, to cancer cells, but it maintains healthy cells. And that's really important when we look at things like the chemotherapies that we have these days. They might be effective, but they're killing off a lot of healthy tissue as well. So as we advance in cancer research and research using essential oils, I'm hoping to see some really incredible treatments coming through and coming up. We find that the myrrh has been very effective in a lot of gynecological cancers, so cancers specifically for women. It seems to be quite effective. And speaking of women and myrrh, myrrh is really good for vaginitis and thrush. Is also helpful for menstrual cycles, for women that aren't having a menstrual cycle, which would obviously mean infertility as well. It can cause a menstrual cycle to come on, so it helps with bleeding. So keeping that in mind, if it promotes menstrual bleeding, not to be used in pregnancy. Okay, so don't use myrrh if you're pregnant. For two reasons. One, it can cause uterine bleeding, but the other, it can also interfere with the formation of blood vessels in the developing fetus. So big no myrrh when you're pregnant. But when you're ready to give birth, it can help with labor. And if there's any perineal tears, it can actually help with the healing of the peritoneum. So just have a couple of drops of myrrh in a sitz bath for some comfort there. So there you have it. These are a couple of incredible oils, and with that balancing of the masculine and the feminine, this deep ability to bring our higher self and our physical manifestation on earth kind of together, it's kind of a whole body experience. I love to diffuse these two in my room, in my office quite frequently. Sweet, smoky, beautiful smell. So if you'd like to find out more about frankincense and myrrh, just please give me a call or go to my online store and order them. And if you're interested in why doTERRA, it's because of the quality, and I talk about that in some other videos. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.